Dream SMP. There's a name I haven't heard in a while. Now, I know the title of this video is in defense of the Dream SMP, but really I'm going to be talking about both sides here. I just thought the alliteration was cool. The aforementioned sides I'm covering are the positive and negative ones, those who think the Dream SMP was good and those who think it sucked. The goal here is not to declare one side as being the quote-unquote right side, but rather to understand why each side maintains its conviction. I was inspired to make this video when I saw this video pop up on my homepage. At this point, I'm pretty removed from the Minecraft YouTube space. I haven't really kept up with any of these content creators in years, so I have no idea what anyone is up to really. I haven't even seen this video yet, but just seeing the words Dream SMP in the title of a TommyInnit video again gave me some vivid flashbacks. So here we are again. I'm gonna start with the positive argument because I think it'll be easier. The Minecraft community has always garnered a very young audience. If I had to estimate, I would say the age range is between 7 and 16, depending on the type of content. Like, a building tutorial is really easily understood and enjoyed by kids of any age, while a mod video that makes all of the animals in the game look like brain rot characters would likely be more appealing to the younger age range, and vice versa. So, I came up with that as an example, but naturally I was curious to find out if it actually existed. And of course it does. Comment down below if you want me to play the brain rot mod pack, guys. Just kidding, I'm not doing that. I'm a grown-ass woman. The Dream SMP in particular drew in an older audience of tweens and teenagers. For context, I was 17 when I started this channel, and I always had a distinct feeling of being a bit old compared to other fans. This makes sense, right? A teenager's ability for higher order reasoning, manipulating abstract ideas such as the prediction of events and hypothetical scenarios, as well as appreciating political, ethical, and other subtextual nuances are all pretty important for understanding SMPs. We know what the world was like at the peak of the SMP's popularity. It was easy to become invested in and was a core memory of the time period for many fans. By the way, this is my way of saying that the Dream SMP never leaves you. This leads into a major reason why people have a positive outlook on the SMP today: nostalgia. You look back towards what gave you comfort in that time, and you reminisce about the younger version of yourself that enjoyed the content. With this perspective, a current analysis is not relevant. That is to say, these people haven't formed their opinion by going and watching SMP videos today. It's based purely on retrospective. Nostalgia is a very powerful thing, and a big part of it is the emotional connection formed towards the characters or the YouTubers themselves. A big topic around this time was the concept of a parasocial relationship, or a one-sided relationship between a person and someone they don't know personally, such as a fictional character, online personality, or a celebrity. I think the Dream SMP is the epitome of this concept in this video, but I have just found the craziest thing ever. It looks like someone from the Department of Sociology at, I don't know how to pronounce it, Mount Holyoke College, has literally written an entire paper about parasocial relationships in the Dream SMP fandom, and it's literally 100 pages long. Like, this is actually insane. All the way at the bottom, they have a timeline. Yeah, like, I don't know if this is someone's thesis or... Okay, legitimately, I wasn't planning on making more videos about the Dream SMP, but I would make an exception for the existence of this PDF because, oh my god, this is actually a goldmine. And it was published in May 2023. So I think this was right after... Actually, I don't even remember when the Dream SMP ended. Oh, okay. This is like immediately after the Dream SMP ended. So yeah, let me know if you guys actually want me to make this video because I definitely will. Many of these characters had appealing personalities or qualities and followed tropes that people identified with well. A few examples: the coming of age trope, the overcoming the circumstances trope, the Iron Man trope where someone is knocked down from the certainty of their position only to realize that they have to grow more in order to become worthy of that position, and the One Piece trope. I call it that because a lot of characters had a specific overarching goal they're trying to achieve by any means possible. The halo effect, which is when a positive impression of one thing influences your opinion of something else, has a big part to play in this. Even if you would have otherwise viewed the storyline of the SMP as being flawed and full of plot holes, there's a good chance you didn't notice it at all. If you're a really big fan of Dream and you think all of his work is really well thought out and planned to a T, it's natural to extend this positive opinion out to the Dream SMP. So why do people not like the Dream SMP? First, I think it would be useful to create two categories for the negative argument: insiders and outsiders. An insider would be someone that was a fan of the SMP at some point, then decidedly left the fandom. This is not the same as someone that faded out of the fandom by forgetting about it, or becoming more interested in another fandom, etc., because this person has a specific reason for why they left. An outsider is someone that has never considered themselves to be part of the fandom at any point. Let's explore some of the reasons why people would leave the Dream SMP fandom. I think a big contributor is shame. The SMP, especially the fandom, was infamously notorious for being cringy. This was a reputation that developed at the peak of the SMP's popularity and only worsened with time. In terms of what made the SMP cringy, that could honestly be a video of its own. But without unpacking that entire Pandora's box, I think it has a lot to do with the discrepancy between the particular audience the SMP drew in and the content creators. This is where a parasocial relationship can go wrong, leading to over-idealization of characters and creators. I think it's also worth noting that the SMP belongs to a very politically correct side of internet culture, which to some makes it inherently cringy. The overall effect is similar to nostalgia, except you feel discomfort rather than comfort by being reminded of these memories. This discomfort comes from the current belief that the SMP is cringe that conflicts with a previous choice to affiliate with the SMP. Another major reason for leaving the fandom is controversy. A lot of Dream SMP members landed themselves in hot water at some point or another. Some of it was justified, and of course, in the nature of the internet, some of it wasn't. Despite having the least amount of hours on his own server, Dream was facing a lot of controversy at this time. And I'm speaking from my own personal experience of what I saw on Twitter, so feel free to take this with a grain of salt. People felt he was different from the other content creators on the SMP. I remember there was a divide between people that didn't want to interact with Dream, his character, or his stans, but still considered themselves to be fans of the Dream SMP. There was a lot of protecting of the SMP, as though it had sanctity, which, of course, it doesn't. It's a Minecraft server. But wasn't everything so much more serious then? Okay, so why do people that never had anything to do with the SMP dislike it? Well, rule number one of the internet is that it brings out the hater in all of us. But obviously it goes a little deeper than hating on a few kids that acted a little cringe and wore green hoodies. The fandom had difficulties within itself, but it had a poor reputation to everyone else too. A few loud voices are amplified as being representative of everyone in the fandom. We've all seen the TikTok videos of stans doing a little too much over an SMP audio, or the shipping videos of characters or content creators. And this is where it becomes an issue that people couldn't distinguish well between creators and their characters. Shipping creators is wrong, but it definitely crossed a line when minors were being shipped. I would say most of this is ordinary of an internet fandom, and receiving hatred for most of these things is also ordinary. But I want to point out a few more things that added to the dogpiling on SMP fans that were not so normal. A large portion of this fanbase is queer, and so naturally there was a very positive reaction to creators that came out, characters that were canonically queer, and queer relationships that took place on the SMP. I think I have some basis to say this because this has been happening with fandoms since the Tumblr days. People will take any chance they can get to hate on young queer people that latch onto media and media characters they identify with. I'm not saying that being queer and being cringy online are mutually exclusive, because you can definitely have both. The issue is that being queer should not be part of the criteria for being cringe. Also, the fandom being young was a big part of the hate it attracted. The internet loves to bully kids. The thing is, being young shouldn't be part of the cringe criteria either. When you're a kid, you are gonna take a fictional universe too seriously, make it your whole life, or even make a YouTube channel dedicated to it. Why are we expecting literal children who are actively in the process of developing their frontal lobes to behave like adults would about the Dream SMP? So at the end of all this, I decided to go and watch the Tommy video that caught my attention in the first place. He mostly just glazed himself over his own acting, but I was genuinely sweating every time he looked up Dream SMP lore on YouTube or Google. I was like, please don't click on my video. And if he had scrolled any further, he might have found one. Thank God, honestly. I think the best part was when he loaded up the world again and walked through the SMP. I can't even lie, that made me a little emotional. And honestly, his verdict is very similar to mine. For its time, it was very good and fun and thrilling. It was exciting to be part of all of it, to watch those videos and streams for hours, and to come and make these videos. I have no regrets, and really no one should. It was part of my past, and it's part of who I am today. I guess this video was a little less neutral than I thought it was gonna be. Oops. Anyway, I hope you all liked this video. Thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your day.
Wow, that was boggers. But I need to get back to telling you about the
Dream SMP
timeline.